Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velasquez here with you, transparenttrading-solutions.com on a Tuesday. This is the 8th of August, right in the midst of the dog days of summer, it seems like, right? Just a lot of just choppy trading on the indexes, back and forth, as we know. So not a lot going on. So again, welcome back, everybody watching the recording. We're doing this on a Tuesday. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, I had, I talked about oil breaking out and some of the stuff that's going on right now. So, you may find it useful. Go ahead and subscribe. If you want to spend some free time with me, a week or so, I'm also give you guys that ability now. I am going to have another class coming up as well. So just doing all the promo stuff. Okay, give me a thumbs up, put some commentary in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel and tell people where I'm at so I can grow the channel. Okay, all right, let's get right into the charts. Not a lot to go over that we didn't go over on Friday. Really, just I'm gonna actually let's get right into the charts, starting with the everybody should be able to see the S&P. So on the S&P, very simply, you've got since we were here on Friday, not a lot changing really. We're just kind of in this big old ugly mess. Even today, we had a bank downgrades and some bank downgrades which took the market down. The interest rate surge was that other air pocket. So we keep hitting these air pockets. However, notice we just cannot get any kind of traction. Jumped right back up again. So, CPI Thursday is probably going to be the catalyst that maybe gets us out of this jumbled mess, possibly back up, up to the top end of the range, or maybe if it's a hot number, we come right back down again. You got these gaps to fill all the way down to 4,300, which ultimately, probably makes it down there. Again, but in the meantime, it's just been a challenge. That's why you have to understand all the different other asset classes. There's a lot of stuff going on elsewhere with individual stocks. We had some really nice moves in some of these stocks this afternoon, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. We've got still more earnings coming out. We got Disney. We've got Take-Two Interactive. Next week we've got Home Depot, and so there's still a bunch of things to do aside from just getting chopped up in the equity markets. On the Nasdaq, we have on the Nasdaq. So I get back into the Nasdaq here. Similarly, still been the underperformer. We have a big support area here, and then some levels way below here. But again, just similarly, just big choppy mess in here. Again, we attempted a rally, but nothing other than support and resistance levels, nothing that fits our strategy. And again, we'll see if we can get out of these. If we break above this, then we're probably going to hit right back up again and to fill these gaps up here. So that's kind of where we're at on the NASDAQ. Just going through the other equity products, similarly, big, broad range in the Dow and in the Russell. In fact, we're trying to get long the Russell somewhere somewhere probably down in the lower, some of these lower areas here. This is probably not going to be that great, actually. Possibly down to here, perhaps. We're still obviously a long ways away, and then they, into similarly. All the action's been in the bond market, as you know. We did get long, as I mentioned. Just to reiterate here, we are long TLT, doing well with that. We did get, we got long here at 94.89. We're still with that. Our ultimate target's 103. We are going to run into some issue on TLT if you're trading TLT. There will be a little bit of a minor challenge right at this 99. You can see that's where we broke down from. So that's going to be the first potential. It's kind of where we broke down. So it's going to be the old support, new resistance kind of situation here on that. So we'll see if that plays out. We're also looking at some other plays in the metals, silver in particular. I like to trade silver either via the futures or SLV. We have some levels I'm looking at on that. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. The bond market, just also been kind of chopping around in here with yields hovering right around the 4% mark after they spiked the other day, as you remember. But generally, again, just kind of just sideways. We have a big bond auction Wednesday and Thursday, 10-year and 30-year. So that's going to see, we'll see what happens with that. We had a short-term bond option, T-bills today that went really, really well. That's, I think, why rates actually dropped off today a little bit. And that's why the 30-year really worked for us on the TLT. So we'll see what happens on that. The dollar looks like it's going to put in a range here. If you look at the dollar index, it's been bouncing between our levels here that I gave you the other day on the dollar index. So this has also largely just been range trading. We came down to this area, rallied up. Whether we go sideways here for a little bit before we make the next big move is going to be, obviously remains to be seen. But if we do take out this high up here on the dollar, then I think, this is actually could be pressuring stocks. But right now, we're similarly with a lot of these markets right now in the summer doldrums kind of thing, just back and forth, choppy trading. You can see we talked about the yen and all that. So not a lot really to talk about here in the currency markets. So you can see lots of movement, but nothing dramatic here. On that, so we can just go through the currencies and not spend a lot of time there. The Mexican peso, you can see also just been chopping here. Still looking at some levels up top here, and then possibly some levels below down in here on the peso. Silver is the one that's interesting right now. It did blow through this area here. And now it's looks like, if the dollar strengthens up, it's probably going to head down to some lower levels here, down to about the 22 level on silver. So we'll see if that actually pans out. And then, in relation to that, looking at SLV, that would be the way to play it if you're going to look for a long-term trade. If you're going to look for a short-term futures trade, the level's kind of wide. So be careful with that. Everything else, really, oil and nat gas are the ones I've been largely focused on. We've been talking about this 83 level on oil. It still has not been able to break out, but it seems to be hanging up here, which indicates to me that it's probably poised for a breakout. It's probably ready to bust out of here, because it just, every pullback, you notice it just, buyers keep coming in on one hand, but on the other hand, it still hasn't been able to actually cross the line here. So it's going to be interesting to see if we eventually do break out. And the next question would be, well, if it does break out, how far does it go? The next level is all the way up to around 91 on oil. So, but again, be careful with breakouts, because they could be prone to some whipsaw. And then interestingly, over the last couple of days, nat gas is kind of similarly had a huge rally. We've got heat waves all over the place here, as you know. So that is created a big move in nat gas. That also, if you think about it, that seems like it's ready for a breakout above 280. We're kind of been looking for that as well. So if this happens, I think we can get a really very good shot at three, at least three, and then beyond if if we get some hurricane disruptions over in the Gulf Coast and all that stuff. So this is also shaping up. So these are the two markets I've primarily been focused on because these are the only markets really that have been moving. And again, there's several ways to play this: boil, calls. You could also do UNG, obviously the futures contracts and so forth. So all kind of ways to do this. But first and foremost, got to get this thing moving. If you don't wait for the breakout, there's been many false attempts here. So you could get, whipsawed if you just chase this thing right now. So once it breaks out, catch the first pullback, and that probably is the safest play. Also on the grain markets, we have lots of chop as well. We did bounce off of some levels here in soybeans and kind of some big turning points. But again, we're not seeing a ton of follow through as of right now on the grain market. So overall, again, very, very choppy markets on the future side. Lots of stuff going on the stock side with all the earnings. In fact, we have Disney tomorrow. We have Twilio tonight. We have Take-Two Interactive, which is one of those big gaming stocks and so forth. So those are the kind of things that we've been more or less focused on the options front as well. And we've had some pretty nice moves. There's a stock called Datadog, DDGO, that dropped almost 20 points last night. And those are the kind of things that really are what why the options are just so great, because if you can catch one of those type of moves, that pretty much will make your week or your month, and aside from just the general futures trade. So if you want to learn options too, I do have some courses coming up. I do have I'm actually going to do a futures class tonight. I'm sorry, an options class, which I'll be posting on my website. So that if that's of interest, contact us at support@Transparent Trading Solution. Lastly, the VIX. I've been talking about the VIX. The VIX has been basically, it's really interesting how the VIX seems to be running into some issues at 17. And this morning we jumped to 17. Market looked like it was going to sell off. And guess what happened to the VIX? Came right back down again. And so, one of the things that could be a really good indicator is if the VIX can't get past 17, then you're probably going to see this thing drop all the way down to 13 again, 12, and the market probably goes out and goes to the top end of the range. So this is one thing we were talking about this morning. So this is something to monitor as a if the VIX had jumped below 18, we'd probably be sitting here much lower on the S&P, and part of this is, we just can't. And it's interesting because it's holding this level here on the VIX, which, I know a lot of people say, well, VIX has no predictive value. I beg to differ on that. I've been watching the VIX for, 25 years. Absolutely, certainly has predictive value if you know how to use it. So if you haven't been looking at the VIX in the context of what I could talk about, then you're probably not having an edge. So keep an eye on that as well. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. Have a great, hopefully things, again, CPI, I think may create the next move. I think that's, the market's kind of been chopping around and kind of confused, muddled up. And I think I think maybe just waiting for, a couple of things. Obviously the low volume, the summer doldrums, a lot of people still going back to school. A lot of kids actually starting school in the next couple of weeks, and going into the August seasonals, it is a little bit tough. And the fact that we've already had a huge run up on a lot of these stocks, so maybe this cooling off period, maybe it is a pause that refreshes, but you just got to stay super patient, trust your process, and ride this out with other stuff. There's a lot of other stuff going on under the surface. But if you're totally just locked in on futures and not catching any kind of moves, it may be a bit of a challenge. So, okay. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'll see you. I'll be posting on Friday again. Again, if you have any questions, you want to spend some free week with me, hit support at Transparent Trade Solutions. Just contact my support staff and we'll get you all hooked up on that. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you on Friday.